Okay, so things are working quite nicely. I can enter a name, get that name greeted. I can even put in a date and we can get somebody greeted on that date. So the other thing here at the bottom that we haven't looked at yet is radio buttons. So look at this. Okay, so you'll notice that initially these radio buttons, they don't work as a team, they don't work together, and that is because my radio buttons, they don't have the same name. So what we need to do is give them all the same name in here. So if I do that, I give them all the same name, and I refresh my page and I look at my radio buttons, they're all working together. Other thing they don't have, they also don't have a class name, and I'm going to need that for my selector, and for the time being I'll just give them the same class name as the name of the field. So I'm going to go and do this, Control V, I add this in here, and then I'm going to refresh that, and then let's look now. So if I do this, they're all working together now. So the thing that I want to do now is if I click on this button, I want to get a reference to the current radio button that's been selected. So to do that, I need to go to my DOM code. For the time being, I create a new variable, const, let's call it the color, and let's just call it the current color, and then we do document.querySelector, and then we just say, what did we call it? The color. And then I want to say checked. So this should return a reference to the DOM element, which is the current color, one that's been checked. So checked is the one that's been selected, and what I want to do for the time being, I just want to do something like that, the current color. Let's see, so if I click on this, it's basically telling me the current color is null, which is kind of correct because I haven't checked anything. If I go here and I click on this, okay, so now I'm actually getting a DOM element. So that seems to be working well. So now, look into my code. So the thing I'm not doing is I'm not checking the actual value of the element that's been selected. So let's have a look and see if that makes any difference. So now I click on orange, it says, oh, on, blue, on, and green, on. Okay, so now it's returning on all the time. So why is that? So if you look at your input elements, the thing we haven't done is we haven't given our radio buttons a value. So in this case, the value I want for the first one is orange. So let's have a look. So if I run this, I click on orange, I get orange now. If I click on blue, I'm getting blue. So you see what's happening is the default value for a radio button is actually on. So if we change this to have a value of blue, and then we have another value here, I put this down here and I make this one green. So if I refresh that, and I see I've got green, I've got blue, and now let's see, I have orange. So you can see now that my selector is working, and if I ask the current element what value do you have, it will give me the value that we set in the DOM. So to use a radio button, there's various different techniques, but you can use this technique where you create this selector that basically check for the checked radio button with that name, and we know the way we've configured it, there will always only be one or nothing. So in this case, you can actually use radio buttons using this selector. So now in the next episode, we'll see how we can actually use this value inside of our application to do something useful.